Our next guest is Nicola. She's Chief Operations Officer at FMI. They're Ireland's leading field management company. And she's going to talk about generating and moulding belief in people and integrating it into your business. Big welcome, please, for Nicola.
Thank you for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here today and to hear such great speakers before me. Today my presentation is going to be a little bit different, I suppose. I'm going to try and talk really briefly about what we do as a business and try and talk about motivational tools that we use in our business, and hopefully you can find that interesting and applicable to the businesses that you work in. So for those of you wondering, we're running a competition, as we said, and it is to go to a charity of your choice, 500 euros. So we want the most interesting tweet of the day. And really what we want you to answer is what happened next. To set the scene, I'm going to start telling you a story. The year is 1979, and I'm probably giving a lot away about my age. I'm 2 years old in the picture. It's set in the Gauteng province in South Africa, and it's on a gold mine. And I want you to tweet and tell me what you think happens next, okay? Using the hashtag #anythingispossible. I'm going to tell you quickly a little bit about myself and a little bit about FMI. Obviously, from the accent, you can tell I'm from South Africa. I was born and raised there, did industrial psychology and labor law at university, and have always been fascinated by the way people work and the way they interact in teams and the way businesses function. So I traveled overseas and worked both in Ireland and the UK across many sectors, whether it was security, hospitality, telecommunications, utilities. And really, what I was always drawn to in organizations was the sales side of the business, the forefront of people selling a product, interacting with consumers, or interacting with businesses. It was always that fast-paced environment that was really attractive to me in the business. In 2006, I joined FMI, and I suppose there were two core things that I'd learned about myself on the journey up until that point. The first thing was that I would never ask somebody to do something I wasn't willing to do myself. And secondly, that you have to surround yourself with an incredible team. And a team that pushes you and that strives you to be better for yourself and for the people around you. And that's exactly what I found in FMI. The team there are incredible. They push us, and they literally put that hashtag into action. Anything is possible every single day of the week. We work with incredible partners in FMI. We have over 1,000 staff, and we don't have a product to sell. Our product is our people. So we work with incredible clients within the sector, and a lot of them that really work in partnership, and many of them are here today, the likes of Glanbia, Mondelez, PepsiCo, Electric Island, and we're really delighted to work with them. One of the challenges we found is with our people based all around the country, it was so challenging to motivate and engage them because the workforce wasn't all in the same room, and that may be the same for you guys. So what we've used is these tools to help strengthen our teams and really create leaders within their roles and actually get them to embody and motivate that in others. And hopefully the tools that I'm going to give you today will help you do that. So what is it that we know about business? All of us have come from businesses where there's more focus on a stretched bottom line. Everyone, whether you're a supplier or a client, is focused on return on investment. Innovation is absolutely key for growth, and all companies are talking about innovation. And everybody's fighting for the best people and for the best teams. If you're anything like me, you've probably been to a million motivational talks and read every motivational book out there. And what do we know about motivation? We're told that an engaged workforce is a happier workforce. If you're motivated, your teams are more productive. If everybody is engaged in your business, you absolutely have to have a leadership program, and self-belief is absolutely key. So these are all things that we know we should have in our business. But how practical is it to implement these elements and concepts into our business every single day? So I want to take you on a journey on this talk, and I want you to think back to your first job or a job that you got that you absolutely loved. And when you started, how you felt, that feeling of engagement, positivity, ability to do absolutely what it took to get the job done. But over time, there is an element of demotivation that happens. And as business leaders, it's our job to find out how we can re-engage our teams and how we can tap into that. Being valued is the key to this. Now, being valued can sound fluffy and intangible, and how can I actually make my sales force feel valued? Well, the answer is in looking at different ways of motivating your teams. I've got 2 books that I want to share with you. The first one is a book written by a guy called Scott Adams. He's the creator of the Dilbert cartoons, and he wrote a book saying how to fail at almost everything and still win big. And the 2 concepts that I love in this book were the first one, he said, goals are for losers. So I was like, okay, that's good. We've been told we have to have goals, but yet we've been told that maybe that isn't the case, and that you can program your mind. And when you read the book, it's really interesting. He said it's about creating ecosystems around goals. Goals are absolutely vital for businesses, are vital for individuals, but you've got to have a support network around them to be able to sustain that motivation. You've got to also be able to program your mind, and you've got to be able to encourage people to step outside their comfort zone and deal with the fear of taking that first step, doing something different in their department, doing something different in the job that they're in. The second book, which is again a practical tool for you to give to your leads or to your managers, is a book called 28 Days to Motivate a Team. And it's by a guy called Jason Jones. And it's, again, a very practical guide for new leaders to take their teams through those steps of motivation. And very much like the baobab tree, which has all its roots exposed, what you're looking to create is an organization that branches out into each element of somebody's life to be able to tap into all the elements that motivate them. There are 2 different elements we look at when we look at motivation. You've got the external motivation and internal motivation. External is a little bit of what we're doing today, where we listen to speakers, we find that outside inspiration, and potentially it lasts for a few hours, it lasts for a few days, it lasts potentially even for a few weeks. But what we as business leaders need to focus on is the more important element, which is the internal motivation that individuals have, because this is the environment that we need to be able to support. So the tools are going to be built around the acronym POSSIBLE. It's very simple and easy to follow, and we're going to be looking at the elements, how it affects your profit, how it affects opportunity, how it affects sustainability, how it affects the strategy of your business, how it affects innovation, what it does for belief, what it does for your leadership programs, and most importantly, what it does for empowering your people. I'm going to give you a quick introduction to the next audio piece, and the talk wouldn't be complete for those of you who know me without putting my hero up on the screen. So when I think of leadership, obviously Nelson Mandela is the ultimate leader for me in my time, and there's so many amazing quotes, but one of the quotes that are really applicable today when we're looking at innovation and creating belief and motivation in teams is his quote, which says, it always seems impossible until it's done. So if you're sitting in the audience thinking, I've been to a lot of motivational things, I've tried different elements with my teams and it hasn't really worked, well, don't stop, because it's about finding the right tool for your teams and for your business. So what I did was I went to the people that I look for motivation from. Not only my team in FMI, but externally, great business leaders, motivational talkers, people who have helped me on my journey, and asked them to put a few words together around saying, is it practical to implement motivational tools in your business? Is it practical? What role does belief play in your organization? To give us some insight across a lot of different sectors. and they will give you those insights next.
Motivation and encouraging that in teams and making time to really work on the things that aren't quite tangible in a business is never really practical. But like everything in life, the impractical things are often the really, really good things that teams need to be working on and that teams need to be focusing on, because when teams focus on those things, that's when things start really happening, and that's where the magic happens. It's belief that ties teams together. It's belief in something bigger, belief in changing the world in a very, very small way that makes a team do amazing things, that goes beyond just KPIs and the traditional measures of performance.
If your team isn't aligned in terms of their beliefs and what they think is achievable and what they think they can do, then they're not all going to be pushing in the same direction or achieving as much as they can possibly achieve. Any opportunity, you should be asking your employees, what do you want? What makes you happy? And even though an employee might think they're motivated by money or by promotion, in reality, they're often motivated by the feeling of making a difference or of actually achieving something themselves or making a difference to one of their customers. And I learned so much more from my team, asking them things like, what did you really enjoy doing this week? Or what were you doing this week when time absolutely flew? Rather than just even asking them straight out, what motivates you? Because quite often, I don't think people really know. They think they know, but in reality, that might not pan out.
In our world, we work with many startups. These young entrepreneurs are very focused on what they're trying to achieve. They're actually very inspiring to interact with and to work with. If you don't have pride in what you're doing and belief in what you're doing, it is impossible for you to achieve long-term success. In today's world, it's really important that organizations are authentic. It is essential that you spend time so that there's a shared purpose amongst your organizations. You only get a few seconds to capture the attention of a consumer, and you have to be authentic. And the only way you do that is by ensuring that your people believe in what they are doing.
Motivation isn't something that we can stick on at the last minute. It comes from somewhere deeper inside. We need to create the circumstances for people to take opportunities that matter to them. When that happens, motivation never seems to be a problem. Belief is important, but the question is, what do we believe in? When we have the answer, it's easy to get behind something. It's easy to believe in something. The world never ended because people took a little bit of time out to think. And if that happens, with a little bit of space and a little bit of time to think, well, then surely the results and the impact of what the business is trying to do will emerge over time.
I don't believe that you can actually motivate people. I believe that you can demotivate them. I believe that, but if you have to get somebody that you have to wind up every morning to get to work, it's too much like hard work. Get them to get a job somewhere else. I believe that your company should be the vehicle that allows people to achieve their goals, and that's why it's important that when people come into a company, they understand what your company can offer them in terms of getting them to the next stage of their career. I think it's critical that you have a passion within the company, and that people feel that there is a passion there. They feel that there's a feel-good factor. So it's critical, in order to avoid demotivation, that people know exactly what your expectations are.
Okay, so when we look at those insights, so there's people who are incredible motivational speakers, people who've achieved amazing business success, the same message is key. It's not practical, but it's absolutely essential. So going back to looking at our acronym, the first thing I want to touch on is profit, because obviously all of us, our main focus in an organization is to drive profitability. The challenge that has in organizations regarding motivation is you've got employees listening to what your targets are, and understanding that you're aiming to achieve them, but not understanding how that affects them. And the question that we have to answer is, what's in it for me? As the employee, what's in it for me? There's got to be purpose behind profit. People want to be part of organizations that are doing something great. And that requires explanations as to how we can achieve that. So the two practical tools for implementation around profit is, if it's possible in your organization, make sure that you can do profit share schemes where people, or link bonuses directly to your profit targets. If that isn't possible, make a commitment as a business leader to reinvest a certain percentage of your profits back into the business. And this means money to spend on training, money to spend on development, and money to even spend on social events or team building exercises. Then you're answering the question, what's in it for me? And that's a driver for motivation for the people in your organizations. Secondly, opportunity is absolutely key. So I was reading a really interesting article recently by a reality-based leadership advocate called Cy Wakeman, and she said some really interesting things. She said, stop thinking about employee engagement in the same fashion that we've been thinking about it, where that engagement is the only reason to drive results. She said, think about potentially not listening to every single opinion in your organization. Think about the fact that you are driving a yes culture, and what does that mean for your organization? And secondly, or thirdly, most importantly, she said, stop trying to create the perfect workplace, because one that doesn't exist. You've got to try and engage with your people on a different level. And that word engagement sometimes can be very limiting. That word engagement potentially needs to be changed to attraction. But what we're looking to do is to find the best people in the business, keep them in our business, and keep them motivated. So the equation that I've put up there, which I think should form fundamentally the part of any decision-making process in a business, is that if there's an opportunity for the business, there should be an equal opportunity for its people. And if there's an opportunity for its people, it should in turn relate to an opportunity for the business. And I think if we can put that as the tool, the fundamentals, it's a practical thing that you can give to your leaders in their decision-making process, and it helps nurture the environment around them. Research has shown that employees are 3 to 4 times more motivated with regards to their development plans and training than they are influenced by their direct line manager. So as a business leader, if you can pass that culture and start it from the top, it's absolutely crucial. The next one is looking at sustainability. Now, sustainability, for many of us, automatically we're thinking of a greener, safer world, and how is that applicable to my business? But I want us to look at sustainability on 2 levels. It's about synchronization, sustainability is, and it's about wanting to create an environment where our people are motivated and linked into what our business drivers and KPIs are. So I've got 2 brilliant case studies here that I think are good examples of that. You've got Kimberly-Clark, who obviously are hugely focused on driving a greener, safer environment. And they really combined the initiative with their people and put up a reward for their employees to think outside the box. Think outside the box with regards to sustainability, and they rewarded that employee with a trip to go out with their selected NGO to work on restoring and enhancing human and natural capital. Toyota, the Japanese firm, are great with this, and they've come up with something quite different. And when we go shopping or when we go through security at the airport, we're so used to having to touch a point and say, what was our experience like? Was it a green experience? Was it a red experience? We're used to being able to calculate our customers' feedback in terms of what they think of our products, what they think of our store experience. But how often are we tapping into our employees and asking them what they think of the environment they're working in? And what Toyota created was this Nico calendar. It's a real-time reporting tool, and it allows their staff to tap in and tell their manager how they're feeling today. So if I'm feeling great today, it's a green face. If I'm not feeling great, it's a red face. And Toyota really embodied and empowered their managers to say, you need to go and research why they're not happy on a particular day. If there are lots of red faces on the production line, is it because the air conditioning wasn't working? What is the reason? Understand your people. So the tool for opportunity that I'd be recommending is that you create that type of calendar, a real-time reporting tool within your organization that gives you feedback as to how your employees are feeling. And this will make it easier for you to create employment initiatives and motivation initiatives within the organization. The next thing is strategy. We all know that strategy is a vital part of any business, the growth strategy, what we're looking to achieve. But how is that relevant for somebody working in your organization? And you've got to take it back to the question, what's in it for me? Strategy, it's great to have a strategic plan, but it's about how we implement that plan. And very often we communicate this to our staff in very simple terms. And it's not just about words and pictures. Communication is actually much more than that. It's about embodying that communication and walking the walk. And so for strategy, for me, it's absolutely essential that as a tool for motivation, you're embodying and empowering your teams to be able to understand what the company's strategy is, and that there is a plan behind the strategy, and that you want to get feedback about the strategy and whether you think it's relevant and how they think that will impact them. Innovation is the main topic for today. And, you know, innovation is such a wonderful thing because everybody wants to be innovative. And the question is, how can you use innovation to make a team more motivated? Google, obviously, leaders in this field, and I love their concept. They really say entrepreneurship and leadership cannot be planned. It cannot be planned. So what they've done is they've inserted 20% time that is allocated to somebody from their working week that they can spend on their own project. So again, allowing people to feel that they can be creative. Dropbox are another great example of companies doing that. They have a program called Bug Bash, and it means if somebody's come up with a creative idea, they all get into a room and they all thrash through the pros and cons. So it's absolutely vital that people feel part of an organization and that they feel motivated and they don't have to be the innovator within the sector. Mark said it perfectly when we spoke about belief. Belief comes from within. And you've got to remember that people create culture. So if you're looking for the right kind of culture in your organization, you've got to look at your people. As Peter said, you've got to find the right people for your organization. And I think an example like IKEA is brilliant because their mission statement is to make everyday life better. And they built it on the basic principle which said ordinary people matter. So their employees are engaged on the front line. They understand if they're helping a customer, it relates back to them and they get that feel-good factor, which again helps create the culture within the organization. So the tool I'd be suggesting there is get your people involved in your mission statements, in your values, and make them feel part of the organization. Developing leaders is a big concept and absolutely vital. And research shows that the top performing companies spend 35% more per manager than the lesser performing companies. So what can we do as organizations to help drive that? It's absolutely key that we have development programs. So the tools there are, if you don't have a development program, get one for your leaders. If you are focused on making managers, change that and focus your teams on making great leaders. And most importantly, create a leadership team, a team that can help the business carry that across the line. And then finally, on empowering people. The question that we have to ask ourselves is it possible for a leader to make somebody motivated, to make somebody accountable, to make somebody focused in on specific KPIs? And the reality is, the answer is no. People have to empower themselves. They have to, we want to be part of that process. So in order to engage that, we have to put people above process. And the tool I'd be suggesting there is, if you look at the processes in your organization, if your people aren't absolutely center and focus, the main focus point, please adjust that and put them at the center, because that's the vital element there. The final piece I'm going to finish on is the story that we were talking about, which was the hashtag anything is possible. And what happened next was that we were out at a big mining event. It was on a stand in a big athletics field, and I broke away from my parents, 2 years old, and I ran onto the field. And I ran onto the field because I wanted to join these gumboot dancers, and that was the music you heard when we were looking at the picture. Because it was so rhythmic, it was so incredibly engaging, I wanted to be part of that. And the reason we wanted to be part of that is because we intrinsically want to be part of a team, we want to be motivated, we are motivated, and we have to have that drive to believe that anything is possible. So finishing off my talk this morning, knowing that my talk was around belief is half the battle, I asked all our staff in head office to please give their children to me for a few hours so that we could capture what they thought and what they think and take us back on that journey to when we believed anything was possible, that we had superpowers, we knew what we loved, we knew what we didn't like, but most importantly, that us as leaders should take ourselves less seriously. We should also remember to engage and create that motivational environment which our teams can benefit from. Enjoy.
My favourite treat, it will be ice cream.
Football jersey, my favourite team is Liverpool.
I like chocolate.
I like ice cream.
I love my dog.
I love chocolate!
My favourite person in the world to talk to me is Minnie Mouse.
My favourite person to talk to is my Uncle Derek.
My favourite person to talk to in the world would be my mum or my dog.
I love talking to my mum.
But like just chat to him and he doesn't respond there.
I love talking to my mama.
I love to talk with my two best friends, Hannah and Marty.
I love Elsa because her dress is so sparkly.
I love talking to my dad.
No, your brother.
No, my dad. If I had superpowers, my superpower would be wish balls. Because when you crack them, you could have anything you want.
I'd love to fly.
I'd like to be a shapeshifter. If I had a superpower, it'd be to fly across the world and land in Disneyland, Florida.
My favorite superpower would be turning into a fairy and going into my fairy door.
Able to fly when I go up in the sky. I would eat the clouds. My favorite word is haste.
Haste, okay.
My favorite word is I love you. Favorite word is star. Because the stars come out at night.
My favorite word is thingy-ma-bobber.
Right now.
My favorite word is fairy.
My favorite word is apple.
My favorite word is friends.
Tiny is my favorite word ever.
My favorite word is animal.
My favorite word is no.
My favorite word is no. Yes.
When I grow up, I want to be a millionaire.
A pilot or a farmer.
I want to be a nurse.
When I grow up, I want to be a vet.
Have a big mansion near the beach.
I want to be a football and score a goal.
Have a yacht.
When I grow up, when I'm a big boy, I would like to be a loose driver. Hello.